but I feel that in order for healing to occur, there has to be the spiritual dimension that comes in.
Yeah.
And it is beyond the mind, and so there is an element of surrender to that, to a kind of mystery.
Yes.
Yeah? That we don't know everything. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw one of my earlier shows I had a professor of science, Arthur Miller, on the show, and this came up as a topic that yes, science is that side, but there's still the mystical side that now realised needs to be in place as well to make the complete picture.
Well, I think scientists need to open their mind a bit more.
And listen to, yes,
yeah,
and
for that
allow
to
that.
occur.
But funnily enough, there have been a few that have actually allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
But we're just coming up to a break. Time goes really quickly.
It does, yeah.
So we'll continue talking after the break, and we'll have another guest joining us. So join us after the break. Welcome back to the show, and this week's show we've been talking about healing and empowering and other aspects related to that, and I've been joined by Ahlmeirah, and now we're joined by Grace Ann Kynglay. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thanks, William.
Now, I know that you've either worked or had an association together, and you talked about the divine healing master keys. This is something that you have also learned and developed, but you have your own story to tell in regards to how you came into this whole healing side of things.
Yeah, basically I met Ahlmeirah as a client, but the way that I awakened, if you like, became conscious, was by virtue of my own healing journey. And I experienced major abuse trauma, physical, emotional, sexual abuse, and that went on for quite a few years. And as is, quite commonly occurs with that kind of conditioning, I then went on to have destructive relationships in my adulthood.
And this was from a very young age that this occurred, did it?
Yeah. So by my late 20s, I had what was termed as a mental breakdown, but actually turned out to be a real breakthrough, because I got real about my pain, and it meant that my healing journey could begin. So the initial interventions that I experienced were psychotherapy, and that kind of got me so far. But with it being a medical model, it was devoid of spirituality.
Right.
Although I didn't have the vocabulary at the time to know that's what I was looking for. So anyway, I went on to create and set up my own group for survivors, and it was through that group that I met two spiritual healers, and basically this whole world opened up to me, and I really did sort of resonate with this, and I thought, wow, what's this? I wanted to learn more. And I learned about the higher realms and the ascended masters, these beings that served humanity from the higher realms. But there was this thing called free will, and they couldn't help you unless you petitioned their help. So this is what I began to do, and in particular I work with Saint Germain and the Violet Flame, which is quite a highly transformative energy, and that kind of moved my energy enough, kind of began to open my channel, and I began to be guided to the healing modalities, the therapeutic interventions that would help me understand about spirituality and to live that, to become more conscious. And so one of the first therapies I experienced was primal therapy, and the Bach flowers.
Oh, right, yeah. What's primal therapy?
Well, basically, these types of therapies, they work with emotional intelligence. So there's actually quite a lot of fear around emotions and feelings, in terms of, this belief that the more in touch we are with our feelings, for example, anger, rage, that it means we're going to automatically act on those feelings. And actually what happens is, as you become more conscious, more aware of your feelings, more of an observer, a witness to these, it has the opposite effect, in that you're no longer a victim or to the dramas of that. So I learnt techniques where I could express these emotions, the full range from anger, rage, joy, believe it or not, in a way that wasn't destructive for me or anyone else. And that was through primal therapy, through the bark flower healing, which is the use of flower essences.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Real high frequency energies, signatures that really help the emotional body. And
So when did the meeting with Ahlmeirah come in the picture?
Well, this is it. The deeper kind of layers of healing was when I was led to Ahlmeirah, and that began with a soul contract reading.
All right.
Yeah. And actually, I think as Ahlmeirah explained earlier, this kind of maps your life, and in particular, it was a real vindication for me because there it was in black and white that I had actually chosen complete disempowerment. So I began to see I'd actually chosen it on a soul level, and I was here to learn about power. And that how when we use power consciously, actually it's very constructive and empowering for others. When it's used unconsciously, then it's disempowering and destructive.
Right.
And I think also, as probably most people can relate, the most difficult and challenging experiences that we have in life are those that offer us the chance for the greatest growth.
Right, yeah.
And, we can learn to see the gifts in that, no matter, the type of packaging.
We had that conversation, yes, about our most powerful gifts are wrapped up in ugly packages.
Exactly, yeah. So, that was a real vindication for me. And then I learned more about emotional healing, and in particular the Divine Healing Master Key, which, ask and you shall receive, which was amazing. And I began to learn that, each of us basically has these, if you like, core limiting beliefs, negative programming that it resides in the subconscious. And whilst we can have a very kind of conscious intent about the life we want to create for ourselves, unless we become aware of what's incongruent with that resides in the subconscious.
Yes, that's where the minefield is. Yes,
exactly. And I discovered that I had this programming, this subconscious programming of being a victim. And worthlessness and not being worthy of love. So when I began to get more conscious of these programs, then I started to become more of a creator in my life. And that actually I had choice in each moment.
Yeah.
So it was, just an amazing tool for me, awareness and working with clients as well. I could just see how transformative this work was.
Yes.
It's amazing.
You touched on something a minute ago, which, when you said about free will. Because, as you know, in my own field, I actually channel people's spiritual guide, helpers, and they're in a variety of different forms. And they include ascended masters and many other kinds of beings. But one of the things that I've been that I have noticed is that spirit can move mountains to create opportunities for us. Yeah. But they have no control at all over the outcome because of free will. Yeah. So, they can create all these situations to either bring two people together because there's a potential there, or a situation towards you, but that's all they can do. Yeah. It must be really frustrating for them because the free will factor has to be your free, and they won't override our free will. Yeah. And as you say, the asking is really, really important in that.
And this is why it's so important to become conscious of these negative drivers, this core limiting programming that basically sits in the driving seat of your life until you start to heal it. As Buddha said, only in awareness can we heal. in terms of now how I'm going forward with my life, I've been involved with a project providing holistic therapies for people in the community.
Right.
People with long-term mental health problems, people on benefits, and also offering a private service as well. But through that, we were able to offer a subsidised service for those that couldn't access holistic treatments, because of the financial cost. Sure. So that's been great. Although we recently have had problems with funding for that. But one door closes, another one opens. So.
Sure, because you're wanting to set up this.
This is right. I want to go forward now and set up these empowerment courses and workshops.
Yeah.
For people with abuse experiences, but also people that just want to make healthful, sustained changes in their life in a more conscious way, and connecting with their spirituality.
And will this be? I mean, is this something that you're going to do in one specific area, or do you see yourself kind of moving around with it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to hearing from people perhaps that have got projects up and running.
Yeah.
And maybe we're doing a co-creation with someone. But yes, London, Bristol.
So one of your main things at the moment is getting funding.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the call you can put out there to the
to the universe. Yes. So using this medium for that.
Yeah, definitely. And are you going to be involved at all in this? Is this something where you're fully on your kind of?
Well, I think there's definitely an involvement there. There's definitely a strong connection. I already run a lot of groups, and I mentioned earlier on, it's all about empowering people, and all my groups are about empowering people. And I think the theme of abuse is very strong. Grace Ann and I were speaking earlier on, and something like half of the girls by the age of 12 will have experienced abuse.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what was the statistic for boys.
It's something like 1 in 7 by the age of 12. So it is, quite prevalent in society. So it is about raising the profile. And to heal this, that's the only way you can heal this, is by bringing consciousness to these issues and talking about them, putting them in the open.
That's right, and also any processes that you can offer people where they can self-empower.
Yes. Exactly.
Self-heal is even more powerful, as you were saying earlier.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Because if you keep doing the healing for someone, they're always going to be needing you. So they're not in a way
that's
empowered.
disempowering in itself.
Exactly.
They become reliant on you.
Exactly.
And create a codependency, and that's disempowering.
Totally.
So it's a very fine line sometimes, isn't it?
It's a very, very fine line. And it is, for anyone who's been disempowered, it is scary to come back into your power. So there's that fine line from that side of it as well.
So some people are afraid of their own power.
They are. Yes, because as Grace Ann was saying earlier on, there's so many emotions there. Like, when you get in touch with your rage, the feeling that you're going to be so destructive.
Yeah. I think, you touched on that earlier about the need actually for long-term facilitation, particularly with trauma or other experiences that have been very life-changing. Perhaps, you need a massive adjustment. But it is that delicate balance of, you see facilitation, but that it needs to be self-empowering, so that you're going away and developing techniques and tools that you can use. Because basically, you're with that issue 24 hours, 7 days a week. So it's vital that you become your own practitioner, if you like. Yeah. So these are the tools that can help people do this.
Absolutely.
I'm a living, walking testimony to that. Get ever be sat here doing this.
And you've also touched on the power of earlier in this process of the intent. Or, you put it out as asking, but you can always also view that as putting out an intent. Because that's actually one of the the most creative act that we can do is make our intent. And it's even more powerful if you allow it to manifest. Where sometimes we fall down is when we try to force things to happen rather than just. I have a very simple process: intention, trust, and allow.
Intention, trust, allow.
Which it sounds very simple just saying it like that, but in practice